So, folks, we have to talk about Adam Friedland's interview with Ritchie Torres, because I finally watched it today, and it's honestly insane. It's insane. The first 40 minutes or so are largely, friendly, and then it goes off the rails. It really goes off the rails. In this interview, Adam Friedland, whose work I'm not particularly familiar with, I know he does the show Come Town. That's about the extent of my knowledge about him. And, they talk back and forth about, Ritchie Torres's, origin story, and, it's a largely fine thing, though Torres gets weirdly prickly about certain topics. He really doesn't want to talk about, how he realized he was gay. It's very, some of it is just kind of weird. But then we get to around the 40-minute mark, and that's when things start getting particularly contentious.
BWA.
Yes, Dithron, there is a podcast called Come Town. It's comedian. It's a comedy podcast about jokes and such, as comedies want to do. Story of the Bard, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Very much appreciated. And Adam Friedland brings up the fact that Ritchie Torres and his political campaign accepted a campaign donation from BlackRock. And Ritchie Torres immediately gets real upset.
In the back, say fuck off.
Yeah, I'm not.
So they're giving you a check just because?
I decide issues on the merits. I don't know what others do, but I decide issues on the merits.
So it's a just cause check?
Just cause.
They're just giving you money just cause they think you're nice?
I'm pretty sure that even there are lefty candidates who have gotten money from people who are employed. Yeah, rank and file employees, sure.
I figure you could.
Yeah, you know how BlackRock is always just throwing money at rank and file employees, with no expectations in return. When you really get down to it, everyone who works at BlackRock is just someone who's going into work and, they don't have any contracts with the company or anything. The company just hands them a check out of the goodness of their hearts every 2 weeks.
Maybe if you're like, this guy's...
You do know that,
this guy's making my constituents' lives worse. You could be like, fuck you, I don't want it. I'm in a safe blue district.
Yeah.
Right?
People should judge me by my record, by the legislation I pass.
Yeah.
I work 7 days a week. I'm visible in my district. I'm on the ground. I'm happy to... if you ever want to take tours of my district, I'm happy to walk you through my district. So.
I'd like to... I've been to the zoo.
It is insane how Ritchie Torres, throughout all of this, comports himself. I wanted to start with this because it's just so mechanical and off-putting, right? Yeah, it's a robot answer, Punky Gal.
Admittedly,
exactly.
This is just a blank check with no expectation of certain viewpoints.
Indeed. Thank you. But seriously, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. My benefactors expect certain results from me. But let's jump ahead to where things start getting really weird, which is Ritchie Torres starts talking about the profoundly changing life experience of going to Israel and his views on campus anti-Semitism.
Question for you. I think you've established yourself as the fiercest champion of the state of Israel in Congress.
I've never described myself in those terms. I'm pro-Israel, but those are terms.
Well, I think maybe you've been dubbed that.
Yes.
Okay. Listen, I'm a Jewish person. I have my own opinions on this. You have your own opinions, and this is a really frustrating conversation to see people have on the internet. I don't get an opportunity to talk to someone that's making decisions and supporting these things that are a huge deal to people right now.
Sure.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was interesting, and I want to start with you, is that you described your first trip to Israel in 2015 as a life-changing experience. And I just wanted to follow the narrative of you growing up and your struggles and then going into the government. What was that experience like, and what bred that passion for Israel in you?
Because one of the things I find fascinating, right, about this entire conversation is that Adam isn't being confrontational about this, right? Like, he's like, yeah, let's not make this a debate where we like scream at each other. Let's just have a genuine conversation. And like, I want to understand you. Like, what, you know, we know about your backstory now. Like, you're here, you're going on this trip. Like, what changed you on this trip? And what's fascinating to me is that Ritchie Torres can't even engage with that. And it truly is, almost more than anything I have seen in American media, like just an absolute condemnation of like the Zionist position.
Well, since I grew up poor my whole life, I never had an opportunity to travel abroad.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever
free trip
went to a foreign country.
So it was life-changing because you went on a trip?
Part of the reason, went abroad for the first time, life-changing. But also, you know, when you experience the complexity of Israel, you go to the old city.
What did you see? Like, what did you witness? Like,
Well, go to the old city.
yeah. I've been there.
Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust museum.
Yeah.
Go to the Masada, where you know Jews committed mass suicide to escape enslavement.
Of course, I've hiked up Masada.
The Gaza envelope.
Yeah.
Went to Sderot, spoke to the local mayor who said that.
And what's really interesting again is that like throughout all of this, Adam is like trying to relate to Ritchie's experience, right? Like he's like, I've hiked that area. Like I am also familiar with this because I also have lived there.
Gaza?
I did not go to Gaza. No.
What did you say? Gaza envelope?
No, Gaza envelope, which is right on the border with. It's Israel, but it's right.
Hold up, why are any of these people important? Well, this man is a sitting member of Congress named Ritchie Torres, so he's one of the most powerful political figures in the country. And the person he's talking to is a comedian from a podcast called Come Town, who also does an interview show called The Adam Friedland Show. And how this conversation played out is, to me at least, incredibly interesting and revealing.
The border with Gaza. So.
It's right next to the fence.
Yeah, it's in the proximity to.
What's at the Gaza envelope?
Like
I've never heard that term before.
Sderot.
Yeah, with the rockets.
Yeah.
Going in.
Oh, sorry. Is it called the Adam Friedland Show podcast? Did I leave out? Is the podcast portion an official name for the show? If so, I apologize. No disrespect intended.
Yeah.
How far is Sderot from Gaza? It's like a mile or something.
Yeah, within a mile.
Yeah. It's right next to it.
Yeah, striking proximity.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's a small place.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, that's why Hamas was able to so easily penetrate on October 7th.
By getting over the fence.
Yeah, and it's so close.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just want to know because it seems like it was powerful, and it seems like it's informed your record, and that
like you can tell, like all of Ritchie Torres's body language is just so uncomfortable, and he's not being asked any uncomfortable questions. He's being asked, why was this trip that you have said is very important to your political positioning that you have referenced as being a key component of why you vote for billions of dollars in aid to Israel? What made that trip important? And he's just on edge. And that shouldn't be a difficult question. Like if you say, you know, your high school graduation was a really pivotal and important event in your life, and somebody asks you, oh, what about it was pivotal and important? Usually someone would have a direct answer for that, as opposed to being incredibly evasive, which is pretty interesting, especially considering this part of the conversation follows immediately after him talking about how getting a massive donations from BlackRock don't affect him at all. Nothing about the massive amounts of money that BlackRock pours into Ritchie Torres' campaigns influences how Ritchie Torres votes. No, sir. Doesn't mean a thing. He can't even remember the donation.
That's what's interesting to me. It's like your story and how you got here, and like I think it's narratively what fascinates me.
Maybe one day you'll give me a chance to tell it. So
why are you annoyed by this question?
I'm kidding. So I spoke to the local mayor of Sderot.
Like that. That's so like that reaction is insane to me, right? Like, will you ever let me finish the story? And it's just like, bro, you're having a conversation. Like sometimes people interrupt you in a conversation and they're like, oh, but what do you mean by like how important this is to you? Like it's anti-human the way this man acts.
Wrote,
yeah.
And he said to me that the majority of his children struggle with post-traumatic stress because families like his live under the threat of relentless rocket fire. And I remember seeing these bus stops doubling as bomb shelters. You know, I come from the Bronx where people live in fear of bullets and guns, but you know, we in America do not worry about Canada and Mexico firing rockets into American homes and communities. You know, we're a country of 330 million people. We're surrounded by oceans, and Israel's a tiny democracy the size of New Jersey that's literally surrounded by both state and non-state actors that are intent on wiping it off the map. So, you know, I left Israel with an empathy for the unique security situation that Israel faces.
Did you visit the occupied territories while you were there?
I went into not Gaza, but I went into the Palestinian Ramallah. So.
Yeah, Ramallah.
Yeah.
And what did you see when you were there?
Yeah, we spoke to.
Yeah, Hero. I might be wrong, but do you guys remember like that pasty child who went to El Salvador and was given a tour? He's a conservative shill. He was given a tour of CCOT and like was just kind of like talked about how cool it was. We covered that on the show a while back. I think that guy also like did something like that with that mayor. Yeah, Nick Shirley. Thank you for remembering. There are so many of these conservative like dog water commentators these days that I just it's difficult for me to keep track of all of them. Yeah, dude is just absolutely nuts. Yeah, he reported at the White House. Let's see, where is this? Yeah, right along with the last mayor of Gaza.
It was before Oslo. So
I don't know if this is the same guy, but it's a very similar vibe of them just like driving around and being like, look at the security state. Like it's very bizarre and off-putting. I thought about doing it as a segment, but like it's too much.
To Palestinians who obviously have a much more critical view of Israel, and
that didn't resonate as much as like what was your takeaway from hearing?
Look,
you're hearing the mayor stay wrote his children have PTSD, and then this guy's like Israel's screwing with me.
Well, look, I'm in favor of a two-state solution.
Sure.
I feel like the just outcome lies not in the existence of a Jewish state to the exclusion of a Palestinian state, or the existence of a Palestinian state to the exclusion of a Jewish state. It's the coexistence of both. So I think I want to see the struggle, both the Israeli and the Palestinian struggle for self-determination to be reconciled in the form of a two-state solution.
A big topic nowadays is campus anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
You've spoken out against it. I just want to know what you identify as the examples of this type of anti-Semitism in elite academic
To be fair,
institutions.
they all spout the same rehearsed talking point. I forget their individual personalities and identities too.
I literally can I tell you guys, can I make a confession? I literally forgot when I was prepping stream earlier. I literally forgot Steven Crowder's name, and I forgot Brett Cooper's name. I had to Google Femme Shapiro in order to find Brett Cooper's YouTube channel because I just forgot her name. They all start blending together sometimes.
Students at a CUNY Halal, where you had a violent, what I thought was an aggressive mob following them to a kosher restaurant in the heart of New York City. And
what were they doing, the mob? What was the mob doing?
Just following them, and then barricaded the restaurant, and
they were like chanting,
hurled insults at the patrons and slamming the windows. You know, much of it is captured in video footage.
So to summarize, just real quick. So Ritchie Torres, his most life-changing trip came as a member of Congress getting flown out and wined and dined in Israel, and meeting a mayor whose children have PTSD, and then meeting a guy in like the occupied territories who's like, yeah, we're militarily occupied and that sucks. And his response to that is, we must give Israel billions of dollars to continue the occupation. And but I do believe in a two-state solution, though, which is insane. That's an insane reaction to that story. Like, people are dying every single day in Gaza, and almost every single day in the occupied territories these days. Like, the violence against the Palestinian people in the occupied territories has escalated dramatically in the last couple years.
You know, harassing people simply for being pro-Israel Jews, to me, is wrong.
Is there any other examples? Like, there's a restaurant. I mean, it's just like all we're hearing about is campus anti-Semitism,
I mean,
radical. Like, is there a link between Hamas and the protests? Like, is that established?
Well, there are students who have faced harassment and intimidation because of their beliefs. There are students who feel inhibited from expressing their Jewish or Zionist identity because of the atmosphere of intimidation or harassment on college campuses. You should speak to this.
How have they?
Are you denying that there's any campus anti-Semitism? Or
I'll give you.
And keep in mind, and I just have to throw this out there. Keep in mind, maybe not keep in mind. I would really like for someone to ask Ritchie Torres why he doesn't support a one-state solution, right? Like, I would really like someone to ask him that, because the reason people in Israel, people in charge, Benjamin Netanyahu, for example, don't support a one-state solution is because that would usually, if Palestinians are in that state or included in that state with equal rights, that would mean they'd be able to vote. And ultimately, they are not in favor of that. They are not in favor of disrupting the power of the status quo in Israel. And that's why they do not pursue annexation of land with Palestinians on it, right? And Ritchie Torres, I believe, knows that. And I believe that's why Ritchie Torres talks about how a two-state solution. Like, even when Ben Shapiro talks about this, like, Ben Shapiro's like, yeah, there's a problem with them having voting rights. And that's why Palestinians have been living under occupation for decades. That is it. Functionally, Israel already controls the occupied territories. They're occupied.
Example, I know a younger person that went to UCLA and was attacked, and is Jewish, and was with a group of Jewish people at a protest, and they were attacked by the Proud Boys.
Okay, that's an anti-Semitic incident.
No, but the Proud Boys were there for Israel, and those are the guys that did Charlottesville.
The Proud Boys are there for Israel?
Yeah.
I think of the Proud Boys as like white nationalists and white supremacists.
I'm telling you right now,
who are anti-Israel, but okay.
Listen, I
love that Ritchie Torres is like, your friend, your Jewish friends got attacked by the Proud Boys, and the Proud Boys were pro-Israel. Okay, sure, sure that happened. All right, and it's like, dude, coming onto this show, called this comedian who's been nothing but affable to you for like an hour as you sneer at him like a liar. It's bizarre. It's bizarre freak behavior.
Like a comedian, right? Like, I hate when comedians, especially on the internet, like, speak from a position of authority with about crap that they don't know about. You know, this is one topic I feel like I can speak on, and
on college campus anti-Semitism.
No, on anti-Semitism and
in general, because you haven't been in college how long? Probably 2 decades, right?
I'm telling you, on my experience of it.
Like, what's crazy is Ritchie Torres is saying, like, oh, you haven't been to college? And, like, Adam's, like, trying to talk about, like, his experience as a Jewish man with anti-Semitism. Like, Ritchie Torres is being anti-Semitic here. That's, like just blatantly, right? And it blows my mind, the level of, like, anti-Semitism that is tolerated on the left by establishment Democrats who support the Zionist project, who support the settler colonialism. It is bizarre. This should be like one of the most damning parts of this interview, and I've hardly heard anything about this particular part.
Anti-Semitism the last 2 years. But the last 2 years have felt different in America.
He's from New York, Josh.
And I don't know if you've been on Twitter recently, now a ton of people are questioning the validity of the Holocaust having happened.
Yes.
Can you tell me with a straight face that those are the 18-year-old kids at Columbia that are doing that?
The 18-year-old kids at Columbia?
Are they doing those posts about the Holocaust never having existed? You know who's doing it.
No, we disagree here.
You think that it's the...
So I didn't... You don't put words in my mouth.
It's people on the right. Let me tell you...
You're suggesting that there's... You're suggesting there's no... But you're suggesting there's no one on the far left that denies the Holocaust? Or downplays the Holocaust? That's an absurd...
No, motherfucker. He's suggesting accurately that the vast majority of people who engage in Holocaust denial are conservative. The vast majority. The overwhelming majority. You might be able to find a couple people on the far left who engage in, like, Holocaust denial, but, that is a conservative thing. Like, I wouldn't say lefties never do that shit, because I've seen, like, some crazy ass people who align themselves on the left who do that shit. I've been in this space too long. But that being said, the vast overwhelming majority, 99.999%, are far-right conservatives.
You're doing moot court right now. I'm telling you what it's like to be my experience being Jewish.
But there are others who have a different
experience. I'm trying to see. Why is one better than the other? Why is one more important than the other? I'm trying to share with you. You're in the government.
And Adam's like asking great questions here in a very human way, right? Like, just wait. Why are those other experiences of anti-Semitism valid, but not his? Right? Like, excellent question. And the answer is because Ritchie Torres is being anti-Semitic. That's what the actual answer is, that Ritchie Torres is an anti-Semite when it's convenient to him.
I don't get a chance to talk.
Of course.
Okay? I think hatred of Jewish people has exploded in this country. And I don't think I think it's because it's of our support of what looks to be an absolute brutality. And I think that...
You think that's a justification for anti-Semitism?
Here's the thing.
You think Israeli government policy is a justification for anti-Semitism? My view is there's no justification for anti-Semitism.
I think that...
There's zero justification for anti-Semitism.
Okay, you're deflecting again.
I'm not deflecting. That's my position.
Well, that's very interesting, Richie, but that's not the claim that Adam was making, actually. Like, the claim had nothing to do with justification. That isn't it at all.
What does it look like to have a flag with a Jewish star and I'm Jewish, and for kids to be starving right now? Why is my government... I don't want to do this fight. Let's not do like a yelling at each other thing. I really just... For me, I had the experience of...
It just sounds like you're justifying anti-Semitism, which making me feel like...
Are you crazy right now?
It just sounds like you're justifying anti-Semitism. He says to the man who's just trying to explain his experience of anti-Semitism to Ritchie. Again, Ritchie Torres, one of the most anti-Semitic members of Congress.
Why would I do that? You're doing the I'm Hamas thing?
I'm not saying you're
Hamas. It's not a winner.
But I'm not
saying you're Hamas, but it sounds to me like you're justifying anti-Semitism, right? Like that's what Ritchie Torres is, the butt is doing a lot of work there.
We'll do a different tack.
Israeli government policy should have no bearing on... If you have disagreements with the Israeli government, you should voice your criticism of the Israeli government. But there is no justification for intimidation or harassment against American Jews.
I'm telling you
that's cool, but Adam wasn't talking about a justification.
As a Jew right now, that we are receiving a lot more hate because of what the people with the flag that has a Jewish star on are doing to other people right now. I'm telling you, as a Jewish person, how painful it is for us to say, and it hurts my stomach to say this, so you're going to say, I disagree, that this is a genocide. And that hurts to say that a Jew could do that. It hurts because we grew up with learning about what hatred is. We grew up learning about this. And the same year the State of Israel was established, in 1948, the world saw the Holocaust, and they established standards for what a genocide is. It was the same year. And the world said that this shouldn't be a thing that happens. And I just wonder, like, it doesn't make sense to me, I don't know, it doesn't track to me why there's this fixation with kids at a school and 2 examples of people at a restaurant that there was banging.
2 examples. I mean, there are surveys on it.
Give me the.
Read the EDL surveys on it. Because
it's hard for me to talk about this in public
clearly,
because
I mean,
you're being a dick. That's mean.
No, I'm not being mean. I'm just clear.
You know, like, what I really appreciate about this interview, right, is that Adam isn't looking for a debate, right? Adam is like bearing his soul to this man and like actually engaging him as a human being. And Ritchie Torres is like, well, clearly you can't talk about it. As this man talks about like the scars genocide has had on the Jewish people, and Ritchie Torres is just sneering at him, like, oh yeah, clearly this is hard for you to talk about. Yeah, genocide is hard to talk about, Ritchie. And like this is the kind of anti-Semitism that Ritchie Torres engages in. All in order to support a settler colonial project that is engaging in a genocide.
Emotional topic.
All right, I'll share with you what happened.
I'm not
with. I lived there.
I don't intend to be mean, so.
Sir, I lived there.
Also, like, just straight up calling Ritchie Torres mean, I think that's something that actually like lands.
Jewish man,
you know,
gets deeply emotional about seeing Gaza suffering as his ancestors once suffered. Ritchie Torres, neutral face emoji.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also, like, again, you're being mean. That's something that like catches a guy like Ritchie Torres off guard. He's like, oh, I didn't intend to be mean, but like, yeah, it's pretty fucking mean and cruel, man.
When I was 18, and I grew up a Zionist, and we were told, and our whole community in this country is told, that we have to defend Israel and love Israel because it'll stop at the Holocaust. It will stop another Holocaust from happening. And my dad was born in 1951. That was 6 years after these atrocities. His friends' parents, he knew these people that had been through this hell, these skeletons. And it terrified us. And the understanding in our community is that we have to defend Israel. But I lived there, and I went to a settlement at the end of my year there, and I looked down the hill at a Palestinian village, and I saw how they lived, and I turned back and I looked at the settlement and saw how they lived. And people live in a world where they're demeaned and dehumanized and surveilled constantly by people and this isn't in Gaza, by people in SWAT team outfits with semi-automatic weapons, and that's what the world is seeing. And you keep telling me that the problem is someone's getting yelled at a restaurant? I'm sorry.
You're conflating 2 different issues. So I don't
please.
I mean, the apartheid state and the settler colonialism are 2 different topics. No, they're not. They're intimately linked.
Me saying this to you right now will hurt people in my own family, okay? Because this is a very important thing to us. And the fact that I still fucking care about being Jewish is embarrassing. I should just be a guy. But this feels like a stain on our history, and it feels like it's changed what being Jewish is, because what being Jewish isn't Israel. Judaism has existed for 4,000 years. This is a country for 75 years. You know, like it is the oldest, one of the oldest monotheistic religions. Anti-Semitism is one of the oldest forms of hatred. People in my life are going to be mad at me about this, but I'm saying this because I am Jewish, you know, and I don't understand why you would be.
Look how you define.
I think ultimately one of the things that I think is so powerful against the type of rhetoric and the positioning that Ritchie Torres and people like him have constantly in these conversations is the fact that Adam is keeping at heart a fundamentally kind and open dialogue. And I think on a certain level, that is one of the fundamental... It's anathema to the kind of ways that politicians and political commentators and actors like Ritchie Torres spout out into the world. Like, Ritchie Torres is not... no, Johnny Ramo, I think it's pretty hard for some people to talk about a genocide when their family has gone through a genocide. I think that it's actually pretty difficult in those circumstances. It's not just because something is difficult doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it, which is why we're talking about it. But like Adam is bearing his heart and he's being honest, and that honesty is a powerful weapon against the cynicism, against the artifice, against the pure bullshit being spun by people like Ritchie Torres, who are doing this because they get paid to do it. They get the political donations to do this. And maybe on some level they do genuinely believe it, or they convince themselves to genuinely believe it, but the talking points are still steeped in bullshit. Because anyone who knows anything about this conflict knows the power disparity. They know the circumstances of the oppressor and the oppressed. They understand the dynamic. Anyone with eyes can see it. And it is why Adam here comes across like I don't know, like the metaphor that comes to mind is like a blazing sword of truth, you know? And it just cuts through all of the bullshit, all of the facades, all of the like fundamentally anti-human rhetoric being peddled in the name of Zionism here. And I appreciate it. To me, this is akin to Jon Stewart going on Crossfire and like ending Tucker Carlson's career on cable television, you know? Fortunately, it didn't end Tucker Carlson's career in the age of the internet, but, you know, at the time, it was a big deal. This is a why are you killing us moment. Why are you killing the country?
I want to have
feel like I'm here to be lectured, not...
Shut up. That's not nice. You can't talk that way. Why are one set of Jews but more important than others?
No one's saying any...
What happened? You went to the beach in Israel? What, you went to a restaurant or something? A nice restaurant?
No.
Like, listen.
Never even been to the Tel Aviv Pride Parade. So.
This is the year 2025.
Yeah.
The world is seeing...
Like he's still even at this point asking like, what did you see? Like, how did you become this way? Like, what did you see on that initial trip to Israel that made you so committed to the settler colonialism? What instilled this in you so deeply? And the answer is, it's not deep. It's just money. And that becomes so painfully obvious throughout this. And I know it's obvious to a lot of people who pay attention to politics, but not everyone pays attention to politics. If you're watching me, you pay more attention to politics than like 99% of the country. I have no idea who either of these people are. Ritchie Torres is a member of Congress in the House of Representatives for, I believe, the Bronx in New York. And Adam Friedland is a comedian and the host of a podcast called Come Town, as well as the Adam Friedland Show podcast. And pretty sizable following, hence why Ritchie Torres, a member of Congress, decided to go on it. And, I mean, this is just interesting as hell.
Something that looks terrible, and it's being done in my name, and I don't know what to do.
But the war began on October 7th.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
You're
when Hamas systematically murdered and made, and you want.
Okay.
Look, we're going down a rabbit hole. We fundamentally disagree.
No.
But Hamas murdered and maimed and mutilated and abducted and tortured thousands of people. That's not television. That's a fact. That's reality. You can deny it. You can downplay it.
I'm not denying October 7th.
Well, you seem to be
You're doing
trivializing
I'm pro October 7th.
Yeah, like Ritchie Torres is literally doing you're Hamas. You are Hamas. You're supporting Hamas.
Dude, I'm pro Hamas.
I never said you were pro Hamas. You're putting words in my mouth.
It is.
But you seem to be downplaying it.
There for the
incredible stuff, Ritchie. I never said you were pro Hamas. You seem to be downplaying it though. Who's putting words in whose mouth now?
last 17 years, people have been under a blockade where they cannot leave. If you were born in a place and there's a fence there and there's a guy with a gun on the other side and he says you can't go anywhere, would you like that guy? If you treat people like animals, sometimes they're going to lash out.
Look, I sincerely believe, maybe I'm wrong, that if Palestinians were governed not by a terrorist organization like Hamas in Gaza, but by a regime that was able and willing to make peace with Israel, the situation would be fundamentally different.
The preconditions for this
Maybe I'm wrong.
happening are undeniably something that the Israeli government was fully aware of. Why would Bibi Netanyahu... Okay, here's the question.
Do you think October 7th was justified?
No.
Okay, I'm happy you said that.
Do you support Hamas? He literally asked a Jewish man who talked about how deeply the Holocaust impacted his family if he supports Hamas. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Are you listening to what I'm saying right now?
I am listening to what you're saying.
Why would the Israeli government... Hamas wants to eradicate the Jewish people and the Jewish state? Is that right?
That's what Hamas has said, yeah.
Okay. Then why would they directly give Hamas money, literally bags of cash in suitcases through the Qataris, nearly, I think, over $1 billion in cash during this last 17 years?
That's a fair point. It's a great question.
If one of those kids at Columbia...
That's a fair point. Says a man who's absolutely not going to take that point that is fair into consideration at all, ever. Ritchie Torres is never going to bring that up of his own accord. And that's because that's a matter of public record. It is a matter of fact that Benjamin Netanyahu and his government for years provided financial aid to Hamas to prop it up and to prevent more moderate, more peaceful wings of political resistance or political, alternatives from arising in Gaza. That was a deliberate project. And Ritchie Torres has no answer for that, and he will never bring it up of his own accord. And it is a very inconvenient fact for him to deal with. But yeah, it's a good question.
Wrote a $5 check to Hamas, you'd say send them to Gitmo for being a terrorist.
It's a fair point.
Does that make Benjamin Netanyahu a terrorist? He's supporting terror.
The United States, it seems to me, the United States and Israel could have shut off the spigot and did not do so. I don't know why, but that was a failure. There's no question.
That's not a failure. That's an active choice. You have to look into why did that active choice get made, man. It's crazy the amount of apologia that Ritchie Torres can spout out to defend the massacring of children in Gaza. But, when it comes to the president of a country providing material aid to a group that he considers terrorists in order to prop them up and prevent anyone else from challenging their power, well, that's just a failure.
I think that what I see is the reason why our government provides $25 billion to something that looks this horrific to people. I think is the same reason. I think it makes it look like that the Jews control the government, but really what it is the more boring answer. It's the reason why the government and you guys don't get shit done. It's the reason why Sandy Hook can happen. You guys can't do gun reform. It's because
why can't we do gun reform?
Because special interest groups can buy influence in our government.
Well, which political parties against gun reform?
I love how Ritchie Torres here tries to deflect. Just instead of engaging with the core point of special interest groups buying political influence in our elections and from politicians, instead of engaging with that point, which political party is against gun reform? It's why aren't you engaging with the point about bought political influence? And we all know why. It's the same reason he got so uncomfortable about being asked about BlackRock's contributions to his political campaigns. It's because AIPAC funnels a bunch of money into Ritchie Torres, and he's afraid of those money spigots getting turned off. Full stop. That is it. He is very aware that about the problem of lobbying. The difference between him and Adam is he likes getting the money from organizations and from companies. He likes it. It makes his job easier.
The NRA has a power.
It's the Republican Party.
We allow our government to be flooded with cash and money. And what's scary to me is that it looks that people are starting to question the Holocaust ever happening. How could Jews, maybe they invented the Holocaust?
You're blaming Israel for Holocaust denial?
I'm blaming I'm blaming our government for supporting a genocide.
And also, he's pointing out that part of the reason that this entire situation exists, that the anti-Semitism is on the rise, that more and more people are being radicalized towards a point of anti-Semitism, is because the prominent anti-Semitic trope of like Jews control the world is being propped up in part by the US government's allowance of essentially legalized bribes for politicians, right? Like, there is a lobbying arm active in the United States that funnels money, and the prerequisite to get that money is that you support the state of Israel above all else. It is essentially a foreign government funneling money into our politicians' coffers, and Ritchie Torres knows that.
But it is unfathomable in my heart, and it breaks my heart that we could be capable of it.
I think we should move on.
Why is that?
We just fundamentally disagree. So
I don't think that. I think I'm talking to you like about where I come from, and that it feels different, and maybe I have a different perspective.
you have a different perspective.
But
I know people who have a perspective that's different from yours, and with a much smaller platform than you.
I'm not. I hate this conversation.
I know.
You know, I have it with my family. You know, it's not something, and I love my family.
If it were up to me, we would not be having this because we're speaking a foreign language.
My family grew up in South Africa, right?
If it were up to me, we wouldn't have this conversation at all, because I hate
Chad,
talking
I would
people
like to
who have
apologize
different
for repeatedly
viewpoints.
calling Ritchie Torres an actual literal flesh-eating ghoul. I now realize that this is unfair to actual literal flesh-eating ghouls everywhere.
The Knife is Duck, thank you for the $5 dono, and thank you for your apology to actual literal flesh-eating ghouls, because, you know, at the end of the day, I was going to make an edgy joke. I'm not going to make that joke. I'm going to move on and move past it and not provide a punchline. Thank you.
We were like Jews from Eastern Europe that literally, we thought we were going to Ellis Island. Mm-hmm. My grandma, all the grannies stayed. And my parents' whole generation of South African Jews left. And when I was a kid, like growing up, I used to write all my who's my hero essays on Nelson Mandela. And he was like a hero of mine, right? And he was also, in prison, and for terrorism too. I don't want to get it. You're gonna go Hamas is what I don't want. I'm not debating Hamas is good. He was called that, and he went to my synagogue after he got out of prison, Madiba, and he spoke to like all the grandmas who like were still there. They didn't have to fucking move because black people could vote. And he said, "Tell your kids to come back because we need them to build our country." I don't know. I think that I don't see what's wrong with people being afforded the right to vote.
Do you think that's what Hamas means when it says free Palestine from the river to the sea?
To me, it seems like maybe if there's a recognition that people were cleared off their land in 1948.
But there are those who only want a Jewish state, and there are those who only want a Palestinian state.
Then they could fuck off.
And we should be advocating.
I do think that this is I think that's the correct position to have, right? Like, yeah, there are also people here in America who think that, like, America should just be for white people, that we should, like, remove all people who are not white from this country. And you know what? They can all fuck off here in America. If you support a white ethno-state, you can fuck off. That is at least it has historically been, the position that people of good principle and conscience have here in this country. And I think actually that is the full and substantial response we need to have to people who believe that that is the case, right? Who believe that in the ethno-state project. Fuck off. Like, functionally, Israel already controls the occupied territories and Gaza. Like, if being free means that there is one state, and in that state, all people have equal voting rights, all people are enfranchised, all people live under one law, then maybe that is what that means. And I like that Adam has actually thought this through. Like, yeah, maybe it does mean having a democracy. maybe democracy, maybe egalitarianism. Maybe that is, in fact, the great equalizer, the great leveler here that could, in fact, bring people to some degree of parity.
For the coexistence of Jewish state and a Palestinian state.
Why can't you just-
I continue to believe the two-state solution ultimately is the inevitable path forward. That is
It's stupid.
there were 1,000 Jews who were murdered before the establishment of Israel, like half a century before the establishment of Israel.
Half is
1,000 Jews.
yeah.
were
They were killing each other, Jews and Palestinians. Yeah,
the Hebron massacre.
it doesn't make sense to me. This in 2025.
The only point was there was violence against Jews before the establishment of the state of Israel.
There was violence against Palestinians, and there was an ethnic cleansing in 1948.
I mean, the Hebron massacre.
What are you talking about right now?
I don't know. I haven't heard about the viable system model, though I am inherently skeptical of systems of governments based on biology. But I'll look into it.
You're in the government. Listen, I did want to argue.
Wait, I'm sorry, you're not familiar with the Hebron massacre in 1929?
Wait, you're saying that justifies an entire ethnic cleansing in 1948?
Israel was.
And notice that this is what's so fascinating. This is what's so fascinating to me, right? Earlier, Ritchie Torres talks about violence justifies October 7th, and now he's doing the reverse. That the killings in 1920 justify a mass ethnic cleansing campaign of genocide. That's crazy.
Whoa, this isn't even a good argument.
Hold on. Israel.
It's not even a good argument, but it's also directly contradicts the argument he made earlier.
I didn't realize we were debating.
I don't want to do it, but you say something like that.
The Jewish state was established by international law, right? The UN passed a resolution.
I also have no idea how you do a two-state solution when one state is deliberately hell-bent on the destruction of the other.
Yeah, and I think that there is a difference between people in this conversation often say the Palestinians are hell-bent on eliminating Israel, and it's but they, as a political bloc, Palestinians aren't a thing in that sense, insofar as there's Hamas in the Gaza Strip, and then there's the PLO, in the West Bank and the occupied territories, and those are two different political organizations, right? And they are not dedicated to the same things, and they are distinct by design from Netanyahu, shifting his support in order to make that so. And they also lack the ability to, even if that was their number one aim, even both of them together lack all of the means in order to make that so. There's only one political organization here that has the ability to destroy the other, and it's currently using that ability.
That recognized the establishment of a Jewish state, and there were
and just to be clear, that's Israel.
Number of Arab countries, including Egypt, that declared war on Israel.
Yes.
It was the War of Independence.
The Palestinians
and Israel won the war.
The Palestinians didn't declare war on them. They were just people that were living there. And they were kicked off their land.
By the way,
there
were
either
800,000 Jews
killed.
that were ethnically cleansed from the Arab world.
Do you know what?
There were Jews. You know how many Jews there are
Not
in the
by
Arab
the
world?
Palestinians.
Almost none.
And this is maybe one of the most, again, when I was initially going through this, and again, one of the moments that really stood out to me, it's the Palestinians are to be made to bear the sins of, 13, 14 different countries. The Palestinians living under occupation in the occupied territories and in Gaza, they are supposed to bear the sins of Egypt and the sins of the Algerians, the sins of just all of the Middle Eastern countries as a bloc, despite the fact that these are not the people who did that. There is one thing that unites them with the people who did that, and that is skin color.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about the broader Arab
So
world.
why do the Palestinians have to bear the responsibility of the Algerians kicking the Jews out?
You can relitigate.
Why do the Palestinians bear the responsibility of Egypt invading
Israel's
in
been a
1948?
state for 77 years.
Bro, it's so depressing what you're saying right now.
You're proposing to undo an established state?
No, I know.
I love Ritchie Torres, man. Like, the audacity, the absolute audacity to be like, oh, so you're proposing we undo the state? It's like, where are you even getting that from? Like, how does someone hear democracy and voting rights and like reparations and like a mutual deliberate peacemaking process and instead walk away with, we must destroy the state of Israel? Like, that is some true brain rot. Ritchie Torres has a brain that has been rotted by his campaign contributions.
I know people that live there. I have family that live there.
I
don't think that they should leave.
What are you proposing?
I'm proposing a democracy. I'm proposing an extensive demographic study of what was taken and what was lost, extensive reparations for what that was taken, and a truth and reconciliation process where we can end this shit. What we're seeing right now is that members of the Israeli government are talking about clearing that shit out. And Trump, our president, is talking about putting a fucking jet ski museum there. And that's the reality right now.
That is the far right, yes.
It's
that's
the
a
far
view that
right?
I reject. So
what the far right? I'm talking about the government and the generals that are in charge of Israel.
The Ben-Gavirs, the Smoltridges of the world, that's a view that I reject.
They're the cabinet.
Yes, and I reject them.
That's what Hamas is saying they want to do.
They're the dominant power in the coalition that runs Israel right now, bud. They're members of like the war cabinet. They're the most powerful political bloc in the country. Like an overwhelming majority of the country supports what they're doing. You can't support this political entity and divorce yourself from their positions. The fact that Adam didn't just like, I don't know, slap Ritchie Torres in this interview is honestly an ungodly act of like, no, not an ungodly, like a Buddha-like act of benevolence.
To Israel.
I'm sorry?
I mean,
Hamas murdered thousands of people, so there's no...
So what does that mean?
That Hamas is a terrorist organization for murdering innocent children and civilians.
How many civilians have been killed in this war?
The war is a tragedy, but
90% of them have been. But 90% of them have been civilians. They've killed journalists. They've killed journalists.
People have been killed in a war. It's been a tragedy.
They've killed people waiting for aid.
But you're suggesting that it is the policy of the Israeli government to murder civilians, and that is a notion that I reject.
You gotta listen, man. You gotta be like a human being about this.
People who are dying in the war, which to me is a tragedy, because war is a tragedy.
Do you feel in your heart that this is what you're saying is right?
If you remove Hamas,
you don't actually think that.
I told you what I believe. Don't tell me what I believe. I've told you what I believe.
Why would you believe that?
Because there are people who see the world differently. I know it's a shock to you, but there are people who see the world differently from you.
But why?
I know that's a shock to you.
It seems
that is exactly what fascists do here. They hear people talking about reparations, equal right, and empathy for non-white or non-Christians, and then say, those people want to destroy the country.
It's soul crushing to see like Adam's openness be crushed against this cynicism. But I think ultimately broadcasting this to the world is very revealing.
A little bit like
the humanitarian crisis has deteriorated.
I don't want to be disrespectful like this.
Well, you've been at various points.
In what capacity?
You've just been hostile.
Like not smart. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs, but Ritchie Torres is familiar with video recording, right? Ritchie understands we can see this entire thing. And to characterize Adam Friedland in this as being hostile is maybe one of the most insane things I've heard a politician in modern times say. It's wild. Absolutely fucking wild. And vile to the nth degree. Just to a degree inconceivable.
What capacity?
It's fine. Don't worry. It's just been a gotcha interview.
I think that my conscience is clear, especially as someone that's lived there and seen it and loved people that live there. And this sucks. I really didn't want to do this. And I think that you saw it as gotcha. Well, this is what people are talking about right now.
No, I get it. Well, not in the South Bronx. People are not talking about Israel. People are talking about
sucks,
how to put food on the table and pay the bills. Maybe in your world.
I'm sorry.
It as gotcha. Well, this is what people are talking about right now.
No, I get it. Well, not in the South Bronx. People are not talking about Israel. People are talking.
I'm just gonna Google this real quick. South Bronx protest. Let's take a look. Pro-Israel donors give thousands to South Bronx. Interesting. Meet the South Bronx congressional candidate speaking out on Palestinian rights. This is back in 2020. That's crazy. Fund people's needs in the Bronx, not genocide in Gaza. Bronx rally for Gaza draws dozens. Bronx protesters chant, same struggle, same fight. Oh, here, the Bronx Defenders Union, a UAW Local 2325. We condemn the violent repression of pro-Palestine organizing. Seems like some people are out there in the Bronx protesting, but Ritchie Torres doesn't consider them real constituents.
About how to put food on the table and pay the bills. Maybe in your world, that's what people are talking about. But in my world, people are struggling. So
I just maybe in your world that's what people are talking about it, but in my world, people are struggling, as if there aren't millions of people currently struggling because of Ritchie Torres and people like Ritchie Torres complicity with the genocide. There are people struggling as a direct result of the policies and politics of Ritchie Torres. And he refuses to actually engage with that whatsoever. If we live in any semblance of a just world, this interview will destroy his chances at re-election. If we live in a just world in any capacity. So I guess we'll be seeing that put to the test at some point.
Why, if people are struggling in your world, are you paying $25 billion?
We have
and that is an excellent question. People are struggling. Why are you voting to send $25 billion there? Why not spend $25 billion in the Bronx?
We have a $7 trillion budget in the federal government.
Yeah.
Right, less than.
So it's not that much money?
Less than 1%.
So it's a little money went to Israel.
In the grand scheme of the federal budget, yes, it's minuscule.
I'm sorry, dude. You're bummed. Your consultants told you not to do it? I like this guy a lot too. I hate this. This is so embarrassing.
I don't have anything to hide. I'm willing to go anywhere.
No, man. I'm sorry.
$25 billion, folks. You heard it here first. $25 billion. Not a lot of money. If it's not that much money, maybe Ritchie Torres can vote to send me $25 billion. It's not that much. It's minuscule. And hell, I would actually use that money to help people in my community, which would be more useful to us than what it's doing right now, which is bombing children. I
appreciate your time. Listen,
sure.
Having this opportunity is...
It would literally be a more effective use of for America as a whole, for that money to just be given to a random ass citizen. Literally, it would be more useful to America.
For me, is a big deal. I don't get to talk to someone in the government that's taking part in these big decisions like this, and
only one of 535. So.
Well, I'll talk to another one. Which one would like me? Virginia Fox?
I don't know.
Do you have her number?
I don't have her number. No.
All right. I appreciate it. I feel like you're mad at me or something. I got to get a big laugh.
Look, it's like Hyman Roth from The Godfather 2. He said, "This is the life we've chosen." So, I know what I signed up for.
Is this what happens? This has been I've been doing a terrible job. I'm rambling about Israel and being a Jew and the Holocaust. Yeah. It's the most embarrassing stuff to talk about in public.
I feel like every Jewish American should have a right to be who they are, To wear a kippah, to display a Star of David, to be proudly and visibly Jewish, without fear of harassment or intimidation or violence.
Well,
I mean, the freedom to be who we are is like fundamental for all of us.
well, I think that from where I'm sitting, Israel might be a threat to that.
And you have that view, but others have a different view.
Why are we still having this interview? This is exhausting. I'm sweating.
We can end the interview.
The AC's off. I'm just trying to find a button to shake your hand, dude. I don't want to fucking do this. Dude, we could have talked about so much other shit.
Like, Adam is just like genuinely upset that he can't just get Ritchie Torres to act like a human being for half a second to like end the interview. Because Ritchie Torres is just kind of a monster.
No, I think you had an agenda to speak about this.
I didn't have an agenda.
I really did.
Wait, was he about to say shut the fuck up to Ritchie Torres?
No, I think you had an agenda to speak about this. I
didn't have an agenda.
I really did.
It's your number one topic.
It's not my number one topic. It's just not.
It is.
It's not my number one topic. It's not
what I saw.
Well, then I'm happy that I was not elected on Israel. You don't get elected in the South Bronx and the
I'm
Northeast
not
Bronx.
trying to make you feel bad or like.
No, but I just don't think you know what you're talking about.
Insane. Folks, go subscribe. I honestly, that interview alone, I thought Torres was the host. No, Adam Friedland is the host of the Adam Friedland Show. God, does Ritchie Torres feel anything? Not as long as he gets his political donations, I guess. I think the only time he feels any amount of pleasure run through his spine is when some kind of corporate ghoul funnels money into his campaign accounts. That makes way more sense. Yeah, no, guys, this was not Ritchie Torres' show. Oh God. Yeah, that was really. I just found it really solidifying how ghoulish the position of Zionism is. Like just how utterly devoid of, again, intellectual curiosity, a hallmark of fascism, and ultimately how devoid of empathy it is. Like, one might imagine, like, someone who is a Zionist, who is capable of feeling empathy, understanding, at the very least, how this campaign of genocidal violence looks to someone who is critiquing the state of Israel. But almost universally, it seems impossible for people who have adhered their minds and identities to Zionism. It's almost impossible for them to actually break out of that and understand how others who see it differently might feel. This whole segment of the interview really captures how a lot of us younger Jewish Americans feel when we try to talk about this with hardcore Zionists and politicians. Yeah, that felt like the intellectual equivalent of just bashing your head against a wall. But full stop, it's really something, to say the least. Torres is such a cackling joker. What a maniac! Yeah, like truly, just takes a delight in it. It's bizarre. Like, how can you not care? Yep, lost a friend to this. Maybe never knew them. I'm really sorry to hear that, Brecco. Yeah, the fact that like Ritchie Torres tries to like talk down to Adam Friedland, a Jewish man. I still can't get over that about the right way to experience anti-Semitism versus his incorrect way of experiencing anti-Semitism. It's very, very off-putting, to say the least.
Riverboat deck is going to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.